everyone, and welcome to the fifth episode of the Croatian Sensation podcast. And I'm here with my friend, Derik Oslan.
Yes,
I
sir.
I
Yes,
think
sir.
I got that right. I got that right. So,
Yes, you did. You got it perfect. No one ever gets it perfect the first time. So good job.
and unlike last time when he was the bottom of the pack IFBB pro, now I'm having him as an Olympian.
That's so crazy. Like to still think about. Like I don't. It hasn't really hit me yet. I think it'll hit me once I actually have the contract in my hand and I'm actually going to sign it. I think
Holy shit!
I'm gonna boo boo cry like really bad.
That's
Just so you know,
crazy.
I'm not even gonna act like I'm gonna be this big tough guy like whatever. No, I'm definitely crying. So be prepared.
So me and Derek, we spoke a few days ago, and unfortunately, due to some issues with connection, we couldn't pull it through. So the last time we spoke,
Try this again.
yeah,
We're trying it again.
I didn't realize, like, it took me a while, to process the fact that you're at the top of the list on the Olympia qualification on points.
Yes, sir.
And there's no way you can lose that spot, right? Like you're locked.
No, no. The only person that could pass me is Jason Lowe. Um, so he has 8 points. So he's number 2 in the spot. So if he does Chicago, which based off of what I've been seeing on his Instagram, I think he is because he looks in really good shape and he's still doing a good amount of cardio and he still has no carb meals. Telltale sign you're in prep. Yeah, when I see a meal that, even if it's just one meal, if I see a fish and asparagus meal, you're in prep. No one eats that shit in off season. So, if he does Chicago, if he places, as long as he places top 5, he'll most likely pass me. But I don't think anyone else can. So I'm pretty safe.
But top 3 gets qualified, right?
Top 3,
Okay.
yes.
So that's not an issue, yeah. So
Exactly.
so you're not one of those guys that's scared to go on points.
No, because at the end of the day, what matters is how you look on show day. The judges aren't going to be like, oh, you qualified on points. Well, even though you look better than these guys, we're still going to place you lower because you qualified on points. It doesn't work like that. And anyone who thinks that are usually the ones that bitch and moan about politics when they don't place as high as they should have. And that's not the case. A perfect example, you had actually brought this up when we talked on a few days ago about my when I won my pro card, right? So when I won my pro card, in 2016 at NPC Nationals, I won light heavies.
Yeah.
I was brand new. Nobody knew who I was. I didn't have a big name sponsor behind me. I didn't have a big name coach behind me or guru or whatever. It was just me and my local coach, and we went in and with the aspiration of trying to get this thing done. And we did in our first try with no one knowing who I was. So politics, people scream politics, that's a bunch of BS. You just didn't work hard enough, period.
By the way, you guys have an exclusive look into an Olympian cooking his food 13 weeks out from the show. So.
An Olympian meal prep. Let me tell you the secret. The secret is whole eggs. 2 of them. Don't use 1. Don't use 3. Just use 2, and you too can be a Mr. Olympian.
So that's the dosage. That's the dosage.
That's the prime dosage. If you use only 1 egg, you're gonna lose a lot of anabolism, and if you use 3 eggs, you're gonna get fat. 2.
Yeah. Very, 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 very good, very good. So, is there beef in there as well, or?
Yes, I already put the beef in. So there's 140 grams of beef, which is roughly 5.5 ounces, and then there's 2 whole eggs, and then I have 2 English muffins in the toaster. That's my meal 1.
English muffins, man. Come on. That's not prep.
Oh yeah, I guess I should just take the carbs out. 13 weeks out. Why not? Let's just do it. I love English muffins. I had them
Yeah,
all last prep, like, well, not last prep, but like for New York and for Tampa, I ate them both the entire prep. They're fucking lovely.
yeah. Are they like saturating? Like, what's the why do you prefer English muffins over maybe like oats or cream of rice or something like that?
The well, first of all, everything. So, all right, a little education time. So, for everybody listening and or watching, when you are choosing the foods that you are going to eat, number one priority: does it negatively or positively affect your digestion, and does it negatively or positively affect your appetite? If it negatively affects either one of those things, it has to go, regardless, because your body is not processing it properly. If it if it if it digests through your body properly and it doesn't decrease your appetite, keep it in. It's good.
As long as
It's a very
as long as you're losing fat or gaining muscle, depending on what you want to do.
exactly right. As long as everything is moving forward towards your goal. Yeah, but at the end of the day, if it negatively affects digestion or appetite, it shouldn't be in your diet. It has to go.
So
So
now that we got into the X's and O's of the things, um, I interviewed you. The last time I interviewed, it was like 3.5 years.
2017.
Yeah, 3.5 years ago, right before the New York Pro. And if I
Yep,
remember correctly, you were doing like 3 hours of cardio and no carbs. So what?
that's
How?
correct.
Yeah. So what do you do right now? And like, how did you end both preps for New York and or Tampa? So what did you have to do to
So
get in shape?
um, I didn't have to do any zero carb. I haven't had to do a zero carb day at all the entire prep. I'm going to move you with me. I did not have to do a zero carb day at all, not once. Um, the most cardio I got up to was two 50-minute sessions a day, and that was for like a week. Just other than that, so other than that 1 week, it was two. There was a point where I was doing two 45-minute sessions, but for the most part, it was like 50 in the morning and then like 20 or 30 post workout. And for me, someone who has done chronic amounts of cardio repeatedly in various preps, that was I was hanging out. I almost felt like I was cheating, like I wasn't even really in prep.
Yeah, you were.
So,
Yeah, and you were holding a lot more weight than usual. So I guess it worked.
oh yeah, definitely. The way you fix that. So if you're someone who has to do chronic amounts of cardio every single prep, usually what that means is you are eating like a shithead in the off season. So, and probably not following your plan and putting on too much body fat. So that for me, being able to properly adhere to off-season protocol, because you get into off-season, you finish a show, you're hungry, you have all these foods available to you now that you didn't have for 4 5 6 months, and now you're like, oh man, I get to go have pizza now, and I can go get a cheeseburger, and it's I don't have the deadline of a show looming over my head. So that can cause really borderline eating disorders. And I'm not afraid to admit that a lot of us as bodybuilders do struggle with that. I know I did for quite some time. And it just took me mentally locking myself back in and really being able to see off season as an extension of prep. And the more I did that and the better I adhered to my off season, the better my starting prep look was, the less cardio I had to do during prep, and the more food I was able to eat during prep. So
Interesting.
all
Interesting.
that said, all that said, the shitty feeling that you get at the end of prep when you feel like complete dog crap and have it never goes away.
No,
No
no,
matter
no.
how much
That's
food you're eating, it never goes away.
no matter how many preps you do, no matter which way you try to suppress appetite, it's. I don't think it's just the food. I think it's the low body fat that's doing that. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and it gets to a point where literally your hormone release is causing every cell in your body to scream at you to eat. So when physiologically your body is sending that strong signals to you, it's really hard to kind of mentally combat that and just say like, no, I'm not gonna touch the food. I'm not gonna do it. So
Yeah.
Most people don't understand what that feels like unless they actually do it themselves.
Other than the diet, do you think the certain changes that you made in your training helped as well? Because you did
Oh
incorporate.
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So the way that I train now, so the biggest thing is always finding new ways to level up your game in terms of how you approach your training, right? So for me, it was the graduation from not focusing more on my strength and just really getting stronger in the gym versus, by the way, this is sugar-free ketchup, another secret, totally anabolic. And this is just regular mustard. There's no, I
Yeah,
have no insight.
you're lean. You're 13 weeks out. Don't worry about it.
So I I adopted pretty. Do you follow Jordan Peters?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, I
Okay,
do.
so I had a lot of conversations with him. He's a mentor and friend of mine. I met him at the Arnold in 2017. Easily one of the biggest, scariest physiques I've ever seen in my entire life. And he was wearing a baggy, long sleeve shirt, and I could see his arm vascularity through his shirt. It was that experience was unreal. But one of the nicest, smartest people I've ever met. So I had some conversations with him, as well as I follow him. I'm subscribed to his app. So I pretty much adopted his training philosophy. So basically what he does one top set of, 6 to 8 reps, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, whatever he's feeling, in terms of auto regulation. And then a back off set where you drop the weight, 10, 20, 30%, and you shoot for a rep total higher than what you did in your top set. So the theory is you are increasing mechanical tension, the amount of load on the muscle through weight, and you are causing metabolic stress through that lighter weight, higher rep set. And as a result, you're creating muscle damage and you are maximizing the amount of hypertrophy you can get. My opinion, strength is king. If you are not beating your logbook every single week and getting stronger, you are not building new muscle. Period. The end of story. So that was my main focus. Was 2020, I wanted to be the strongest 212 guy on any stage, because my theory was if I'm the strongest, chances are I'm either going to have the most muscle or really close to it.
Yeah.
That was my approach. So very simple, very basic.
And for those of you that say that heavy weights are going to cause a physique to lose its
Aesthetics.
flow and aesthetics and the shape, I don't think that's true, because if you take a
Nope.
look at Derik, if anything, your shape improved.
Yes, agreed. Yes, it did. I got up to a 750 deadlift, a 475 bench. I don't barbell squat anymore because the lower back pumps I get are so bad that
Yeah.
it fucks up the rest of my training. I cannot put up the same amount of weight the rest of my leg day if I do barbell squats. So I do Smith machine squats instead. It's much easier to control. It's much better on my back. I can grab it. I can get my shoulders back far enough to grab it, and it's not uncomfortable. So I can do 6 plates for reps on that. So I just focus on just getting freakishly strong and being able to control that type of weight instead of just slinging it around like I used to in previous years. So that's how I did it.
So do you think that, because I believe so, I believe that progressive overload it doesn't just relate to the weights that you lift. It can also
Correct.
be the form, the execution, the tension,
Yep.
going deeper on some exercise. So guys, like Derik first, he's a pro. So he first developed his form, and then he started building his strength, and that's where it is right now. So
Correct.
yeah,
I
and it obviously works because how much muscle did you gain in the last year?
So when I competed last year, I did Chicago and I did Tampa last year, and I competed at 195 at Chicago, and I was 197 at Tampa. So we tried to feed me a little bit more to Tampa because they said they wanted me to be fuller after Chicago. But I ended up being 2 pounds heavier. And then this year I weighed in at 212 at Tampa, and I weighed in at 211 at Chicago. So I completely erased that whole weight gap in one off season,
That's nuts.
which is pretty damn cool.
Yeah, just as hard or harder?
Oh, easily better conditioned, like
Oh yeah.
without a doubt, without a doubt.
So basically, lots of clean food, lots of big weights,
Stop
and
the phone.
yeah, don't worry about it. So lots of clean food, lots of big weight with proper
Yep,
form, and making
yep.
that progress. And how much did you eat at the peak of the off season? Because that's where people, I think lacked. You know what you previously said. I couldn't interrupt you, but you previously said that focusing on clean foods in the off season
Mhm.
made like big strides in your physique. So how much clean food did you put away at most during that time?
Um, Man, I was easily clearing 5,000 calories daily. Um, and that's not counting cheat meals. I did have cheat meals. I think I was getting 2 or 3 of them a week. Um, but not counting cheat meals, I would say around 5,000. Um, in some cases, a little bit lower if we wanted to, control the body fat accumulation. So maybe we go down to like 4,500 or whatever, but definitely around 5,000, if not higher.
And you reached like what, 242, around
Nope,
240?
I was 250.6 when I started prep,
That's crazy.
and and I felt like physiologically I felt better than I did at previous off seasons at lower weights. Um, I didn't feel like sluggish, or I didn't feel quite as lethargic, or I didn't feel quite as round. I could still put socks on without help. um, and put on my shoes without a problem and not like lose my breath going upstairs. I mean, I was big, don't get me wrong, but because I didn't get big off of eating a bunch of dirty shit, I was I was able to keep the waist tight, keep the abs visible. I still had nice leg cuts, and I was able to feel a little bit more athletic, which is really it's really something to. And blood pressure was good, which I usually have higher blood pressure when I come out of a show because I eat like a piece of shit usually. But because I kept it cleaner, I was able to control my blood pressure as well. I just overall just felt better. I felt better, and it was a really good feeling.
Yeah, I noticed myself, every time I reached, I don't know, 220, 225 several
Mhm.
times during the last few years. And each time I feel a lot better. I sleep a lot better. I, you know,
Yes.
like it's just, but yeah, like you said, I approach my off season like prep. Everything is weighed to a gram. It's all
Yep.
clean. I even have
Yep.
less. I have a cheat every 7 to 10 days just for health purposes, nothing else. So it's like,
Right.
but would you agree? I think you kind of do with that statement which Fuad and Luke used to make about eating clean and then eating shit on top, and then once you remove the shit food, you're gonna have an easier time losing weight at the beginning of the prep. Would you agree with that?
I 110% agree with that. Just as an example, like for me, I easily drop within the first 2 weeks of prep. I easily drop anywhere from 8 to 12 pounds in that period of time just by removing shit food because all of the excess glycogen and water starts to drop away. And again, one, you feel better. You're able to move around a lot more and be more mobile because there isn't so much fluid in the joints. And you typically get stronger at that point because your fitness level increases because you're able to move better. So, yeah, I 110% agree with that. The other thing I wanted to add about eating like cheat food, the problem that I see is that I would say here in America, American culture is so focused on food as where you would derive your emotional happiness from, right? So our culture is centered around consumption, unfortunately, instead of seeing food what it is as fuel, and having the emotional attachment to the people that you're around while you're eating, making the experience around the people. So I think that we as Americans would be able to lead a healthier lifestyle if we removed a lot of the emotional attachment that we have to food and put that energy somewhere else and began to kind of mold our perception of what food is, which is fuel for our body that we can make taste good, as opposed to food being something that we eat to make ourselves happy.
Yeah, very good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense. And did you notice? I don't know. That's maybe it's just me, but I can't eat like crap, like I don't know, like a cheat meal, without being around someone. You know what I mean? Like sharing the food and sharing the experience. Like just
Yeah.
ordering a pizza and eating it by myself doesn't really cut it.
No, food is so. I mean, I do that on occasion, but food is definitely more enjoyable when you're able to share with people. That much I can agree with for sure.
Yeah, socialize. You know,
Hmm.
so yeah, and I think where people make a mistake also is like they use those cheat meals like a treat. They're almost like dogs, you know, like they're
Yes,
working the
yes.
whole week towards that cheat meal, and then they cheat and then they feel miserable. You know, I don't get it, honestly. Like if you have that type of mentality, something is not right. Something needs to be fixed.
Right. That's usually a sign of A, an eating disorder, and B, the person that individual is not. They don't have a vision for where they're trying to go physique wise. They are they're like you said, they're treating themselves like a dog, like an animal, and they're doing all of these things to get the treat, as opposed to doing the work in order to accomplish a specific goal or vision. Because when you're focused on the prize or the vision, I should say, you're not worried about food, really. Like you're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be nice to be able to go out with my wife or my husband or whatever and go out and get sushi but it's not what you live the entire week for. You live the entire week for going into the gym and doing the work and eating your meals and nailing everything properly. And you know that when you get to the end of the week, you have this nice little icing on the cake, but that is because you did all of the work beforehand and you were focused on just the work. So it's instead of looking forward to the treat, you're looking forward to just the mental reprieve of just kind of like, okay, I don't have to think about the work for the next hour and a half because I get to go out and have this meal. Again, the experience with the person, not the food itself being the emotional happiness that is derived.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Speaking of working towards the goal, you're working towards the fucking Olympia.
Mm.
I can't believe it. Like because so many people, like in your spot where you were, like classic physique already existed. You could
Hmm.
have gone, you could have gone down. You know, people were even talking about you going down. So,
This is true.
so where did
Someone just
you?
knocked at my door.
No problem.
Oh, there's no one there. Go ahead.
So, where did you say like, man, fuck that? I'm gonna be the best bodybuilder I can be, or the best bodybuilder in the world.
Okay, so for me, the goal has always been way deeper than that. So yes, I want to be one of the best bodybuilders in the world. Yes, I want to be in the Olympia. You know, I would love to be Mr. Olympia one day. These are all goals that I'm working towards. I don't think any competitive bodybuilder has ever gone through this process without dreaming of that happening for them. So yeah, all those things are true. However, this is what the Olympia means to me. So as I told you in our first interview way back when, I was the skinny nerdy kid that got picked on and bullied all the time and beat up, and I was a very easy target because I was small and all of that stuff. And I went through bouts of depression, low self-esteem, lack of confidence. I wasn't very good at making friends. I definitely wasn't good at talking to girls. I wasn't good at I was kind of okay at sports. Like that's kind of what kept me afloat, but mentally. But I had all of these things that I was trying to combat that I was losing a fight with. And my dad bought me a gym membership for Christmas when I was 13. And that's kind of where everything kind of took off. And I was able to grab fate with my own hands, and take control of my life. So my mission, my entire life has been to transform myself into a version of me that is as opposite and or as far away from the version of me that I used to be as a kid when I first started lifting as possible. So someone who is confident, someone who has great self-esteem, someone who's able to make friends, someone who is able to cultivate I'm going to use the word village, a village of people around them that pushes them forward, that supports them. You know, you're surrounded by positivity, and all of these things have manifested itself into what is now my vision. And for me, getting to the Olympia is like I've put an official stamp on my goal of being the exact opposite of what I was as a kid and conquering that version of me that battled with depression and lack of confidence and low self-esteem and all of those things. So by me becoming an Olympian and one of the best bodybuilders in the world, owning 2 businesses and having a great support system of people around me who believe in me and love me and cherish me and want me to be the best version of me, I think I have done that. And I can officially put a stamp on a goal that I've been working towards since I was 13 years old, and I'm 32 now. Then I can focus more on, you know, the elevation of that goal. So like, you know, I qualify this year on points, and next year my goal is to qualify by winning a show. And, you know, just kind of level up in that fashion. But that's what the Olympia means to me, conquering the version of me that I used to be as a kid, period.
That's a great fucking answer. So what do you expect to happen at this Olympia? Like, do you have like really high expectations? Do you have like, is it a part of you dreaming about something and the other one is like, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna do this, you know? Like what's your mental state at this point?
Like I said, it still doesn't feel completely real yet. Like I said, once I have the contract in front of me and I'm actually signing it, then I think everything will kind of come full circle. But I have given thought to what you just asked me, and I 110% believe that at my best, I have the capability of being a top 5, top 6 Olympian. I do believe that I have all the pieces. And one thing that I've also really cherished is earning the respect of my peers as well, both other coaches in the industry as well as, you know, other pro bodybuilders that I've been able to connect with. So having the respect of high level people in our industry has really elevated my own self expectations as well. So to answer your question, I do believe I have the capability of being a top 5, top 6 Olympian at my best. Also, my homie Bo has beaten me twice this year. I can't let that happen again. So I got and then, you know, George beating me as well. Now I'm just fucking around, but I do have high expectations for myself. I do believe that I have the capability of beating people who have won shows coming in as somebody who is coming in on points. I do 110% believe that. So, and regardless of what, no matter where I place, I'm still one of the best bodybuilders on the planet. No one can ever take that away from me. And so moving forward from the Olympia, no matter what happens, my next goal will be to enter the Olympia as a show winner, and then take it from there.
So basically, you do have high expectations, but at the end of the day, whatever happens, you're at the fucking Olympia.
Yes. Yeah. Now, I don't want that. I do not want that to be misconstrued with I'm just happy to be here mentality. I am coming to 110% bring my best, and I know my best is good enough to stand with those first call out guys. That 110% I believe. I believe in with all of my heart, and I'm doing everything in my power to make that happen.
I think it can happen as long as we haven't seen your best yet. So if you do bring your best, if you do bring your best, you never know what can happen. If some other guys aren't at their best, things happen at pro shows. So, yeah, but that's crazy. The Olympia, like that's like a dream come true for all of us. Like we're all working towards that shit. So, and just give me a second.
Go ahead.
Where Luke made a massive mistake as an Olympian is that he did not enjoy a single second of it. Like there's not one. The only thing that he enjoyed is getting the jacket. Everything else for him was just not enjoyable. So what I would recommend to you or anyone else that competes at that show, you gotta soak it in, man. Like whatever, like even if you're looking like you're in the middle of the off season, it just has to, like that first experience has to be positive.
Why do you feel like you didn't enjoy it?
Because he said so. He said so many times.
True.
Many times. So like he didn't enjoy because he wasn't at his best. He felt that he was disappointing people. He felt that the Redcon wasn't gonna be proud of him or resign him because he's not doing well. They didn't give a shit. They were just happy that he's at the Olympia, So he just made all these constructs in his head, that prevented him from, enjoying that shit. So
yeah,
I hope that you can enjoy it because it's really special. Like it's something that I'm telling you, like I might never get there. Like I know so many guys that will probably never be there. So it's crazy.
There are guys. It is crazy, and even crazier thought. I thought about this as well. Especially after the New York or New Tampa or whatever you want to call it that happened it was something that I really had to remind myself of, and it definitely helped make me feel a lot better about everything. Was that there are guys who go their entire pro careers and literally never make first call out at a show ever in their life. And I've been fortunate enough to do that 4 times now, which is fantastic. New York Pro is the 3rd most prestigious show in the world. And the first time I did it, when we did our interview back in 2017, I placed technically 11th if Guy Cisternino hadn't gotten sick. But, as a result of that, I ended up in the 10th place spot. So, I guess technically, I placed top 10 at the New York Pro, which is cool. And then I just placed 5th at the New York Pro 2 years later. So that is a huge accomplishment because some people go to New York Pro and, are never a force to even be thought about ever. Some people never make it onto the point standings for the Olympia ever. And if they do, they're like at the bottom of the barrel. There are a lot of things that I had to remind myself of there are a lot of people who work towards this goal and never even make it as close as I am to it right now. So I'm definitely blessed. Now I'm also blessed with a good work ethic and a good positive mindset and a great group of people behind me that keep pushing me forward. So, as much as it is a one-man effort, it's not at the same time. So
talk about
I'm
that for a
grateful.
second. Talk about that for a second, because I know you guys are all over the social media. You and your lady,
Hmm.
Anastasia
Yep.
Ryder. For those who
Yep.
don't know, she's also a women's physique competitor. She, if I'm
Women's
not,
bodybuilder now.
oh,
Women's bodybuilder now.
she's moving up. She's moving up.
Yeah, she
Well,
went for a pro card at North Americans, and she was just too damn big. So
yeah.
she made the decision she's gonna be a women's bodybuilder
Man,
now.
she's a big girl. She's a big girl. For those that don't
I
know,
put
she's yeah. Tell the guys.
5'10", 5'10". She she got over 200 in the off season. And she competed in the 170s. Last year, she competed in the low 160s. The year before that, she competed in the high 150s. So she just continues to grow every single year.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
And she kept her femininity. So like she's not.
Yes.
Somebody's happy about that.
Yes. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, because that's a problem in this sport, especially on the women's side of things. Femininity is getting lost really fast if you change that size, even condition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and she was able to
And
get gradually harder and bigger every year while staying okay. So.
yes. And the top women's bodybuilders have made a very pointed effort to make sure that that level of femininity stays within their division. I don't want to say they've begun to ostracize women that don't really put a pointed effort on that, but there is, you can see it in the judging of the women's bodybuilding shows. They are definitely going for women who, one, bring the physique, obviously a winning physique, and two, have still maintained their femininity and their beauty and not showing up on stage with like 5 o'clock shadow and things like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, how is your like relationship going? Like you guys are you guys getting married anytime soon? Like what's the
There, uh, there may or may not be things in the works. I don't want to. I'm not going to tell you everything now. Like she might listen to this interview.
Yeah, she might. She might.
So
It's
no,
not for
she
sure.
will. She will. She's listened to pretty much every single interview I've ever done. So she's gonna listen to this. I'll leave it at things may or may not be in motion at the current moment.
Moving in that
really
direction.
knows about.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
100%. No, I know it's yes, that is 110% going to happen. I am not leaving this woman. This woman's not leaving me. We are together forever. This is what it is. So
Why?
all that's
Why?
missing.
Why? Explain to people why. And why is that important in being a good bodybuilder? Explain to people.
Okay. So again, it all comes back to having a strong support system. So I've never had someone that pushed me to be better in all facets of my life like she has. So just as one pointed example, I'm in business for myself now as a coach and trainer. Like I don't work for a gym or for anybody. And then, we have our gym, Fam Tampa, here in Tampa, Florida. So before we opened the gym, I had decided to go into business for myself. I would not have made that decision when I made it if not for her encouragement. She told me, you're not happy with your job. You're not happy where you're at. You're happy coaching and training people. You are extremely smart. You have the certifications and you have the knowledge. Just quit your job, go into this shit full force, dive headfirst into it, and put every single effort and amount of energy that you have into this thing. You are going to be okay. And I was scared shitless. I had like 800, I think I had like $800, in my account. Rent was coming up and I'm like, okay, I can pay rent, but like, what do I do after that? Like, I'm fucked. Like, I need to make this happen. And you know, I learned a lot from her as well, and I just put boot to ass in terms of my hustle, and every single dollar I've made since November of 2018 has been mine, my money. I paid off my car in May of 2019 off of coaching, and I've never looked back. So having someone who is willing to, you know, kind of pull your coattail and get in your face and say, yo, you're capable of more than what you're doing right now. Go and get that shit done. And believing wholeheartedly that you will accomplish it. There's no feeling comparable to that. And when you find somebody who is pushing you that in that way, you fucking marry them. End of story. That's how it works. So it's not just from the facet of bodybuilding. That's just how life works. And the second that you put that type of priority and onus and importance and reverence in having somebody like that, the happier you will be.
Yeah. So being pretty is not sufficient enough. What you're saying?
No, it is not the end all be all, because looks fade, but work ethic, drive, ambition, and empathy and caring and love, none of those things go away.
Yeah. Well, that's how I got married. Basically, that's like I just realized that she was the one, because you know, she, like you said, she pushed me to, you know, higher stages of life, and I realized, you know, that's what, and I had that stability where I could, you know, focus on what I'm doing and not having to focus on 50 other things that go along with, you know, being in a relationship. You know, it wasn't toxic, it wasn't, you know, stupid. I didn't have to deal with small shit. So basically,
I know exactly what you mean.
It worked out, you know. And it helps being homebodies too.
Yeah, look, I used to not be, like, when I was younger, but now, like, I very much cherish my time at home and my time, you know, I'm gonna say by myself, but, you know, just me and her. But even then, sometimes I just want to just kind of veg out and, you know, maybe like play like an hour of video games, or like watch some anime or whatever, and just take a break from work and just not think about anything. And I just want that space to myself. I cherish that a lot more than I did when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a part of maturing, basically.
Yeah.
So before we go, I know you're a busy guy. Before we go, is there anything else you wanna tell people? Any message you wanna spread? Anything you wanna shout out?
Love my life. I love you very much. You better watch this interview, or we're gonna fight. And I'm not going to buy you any post-show food whatsoever. So that's that. We have our gym here in Tampa, Florida. Like I said, Fam Tampa. That is actually the Instagram. So Flex Appeal Miami, Tampa location. So the Instagram is at fam.tampa. So FAM.TAMPA. You can follow me personally on Instagram as well, weaponx_IFBB Pro. And message takeaway. Oh, I'm releasing a book. I almost forgot. So I wrote a book while I was in prep. That shit was an accomplishment in and of itself. So the book is called Muscle Building Decoded. So basically what it is I wanted to take everything that I have learned anecdotally through what I've applied on myself and my clients, what I've read in books and research articles, as well as what I learned in academia, as a degree holder in biology and chemistry, and put it into a very simple, easy to read format for anybody who at any fitness level can pick it up, read it, and understand the basic principles of how to build muscle more effectively, and then be able to take that knowledge into the gym and apply it. So it's not necessarily, I do believe that people like me and yourself can read it and either refresh on things that we know, but haven't thought about in a long time. But it's mainly for people who are not necessarily, may not be at our level, but is just looking for new ways to implement new strategies in the gym and to build new muscle. So that's basically what the book is. I will be releasing it within the next week. I'm just waiting for final editing. I sent it to professionals to look over it, edit it, and review it, just to make sure that it is up to snuff and communicating what I want it to communicate, and then I'll be releasing it within the next week. So that's that. And then final message to anybody that's listening, because obviously mainly I'm assuming your listeners are going to be bodybuilding enthusiasts. So the last point I want to leave everybody with is, when in pursuit of a fitness goal, whether it's weight loss or muscle building or what have you, or contest prep, never be married to a method, and never be married to one way of thinking. Be married to knowledge, be married to growth, be married to personal development, and be married to whatever will get you to the next level, the next stage, and make you a better version of yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually. In that fashion, you will accomplish any goal that you set out to.
Awesome, man. No better way to get out of this interview. Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you for coming on. I'm gonna get you back after the Olympia for sure. We're gonna talk a little more.
Yes. I'll have a lot of good stories for you. Don't you worry.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right, everyone. Bye.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you for listening.